Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It's Good News Tuesday, which means our Good Tues News Day, as my dad likes to say it. And we are going to be looking at what good stuff is happening out there. That's your opinion if you want to hear about it, I suppose. But we're going to tell you some good stuff. So let's go ahead and get into our news stories. Today on Before Coffee. Icelandic volcanic eruption is stabilizing after thousands evacuated.
On Good Tues News Day, we report on Clarence Thomas again because grifters gonna grift.
Youth volunteers to form grand pals to connect lonely senior citizens with grandkids to hang out with. And a Norway Arctic coal mining town is now a new hunting ground for polar bears.
And more Good Tues News Days. We have good news about the economy and some children being found.
A victory for diversity? For the first time in 100 years, the winner of Miss France has short hair.
Those stories and more on today, which is National Hard Candy Day, December 19th, 2023 on Before Coffee.
Okay, let's go ahead and cover our first news story here about the volcano, right? We were talking, I think, probably last week about how the Iceland was getting hotter and hotter. Earthquakes are happening more frequently, and they were expecting a volcano for a long while. But as one of the most popular, I don't want to say popular. It's very common for there to be volcanoes in Iceland. They're very used to it. So they have had all the measures ready for evacuation and getting people out while the volcano exploded. This is by Your Nose with AFP. A 4-kilometer-long fissure has opened up in the ground in an area expected to see frequent eruptions in the coming years. A volcanic eruption was continuing in Iceland on Tuesday morning, but its power appeared to be declining, Iceland's Meteorological Institute, IMO, announced. The power of the eruption seems to be decreasing, they wrote on their website. The eruption through a fissure in the ground began after an earthquake on Monday evening in an area south of Reykjavik, where seismic activity has been very intense since the beginning of November. The fact that the activity is already decreasing is not an indication of how long the eruption will last, but rather that the eruption is stabilizing, the institute added. It noted a similar trend had been observed at the start of the previous eruptions on Reykjanes Peninsula. The fissure is around 4 kilometers long, said IMO, which previously estimated to be around 2.8 kilometers long. So it's almost a little under double what they predicted. 3 times longer than the last eruption last summer. This latest eruption, the fourth in 2 years, took place 3 kilometers from Grindavik, a village with a population of 4,000, which was evacuated on the 11th of November when a state of emergency was declared following a large buildup of magma. All roads around Grindavik are closed and will remain so for the next few days, the police announced on Facebook, stating that the population is currently in no danger. According to the IMO, risks to air traffic are also low. The aviation color code was briefly changed to red, but quickly changed back to orange in absence of an ash cloud. For the moment, there is no disruption to arrivals and departures at Keflavik Airport, Iceland's airport operator Isavia said on its website overnight, with traffic relatively light at this late hour. Travelers are currently more likely to be affected by air traffic controllers' strike scheduled for on Tuesday. In 2010, the Eyjafjallajökull volcano in the south of the island caused the greatest disruption to the air traffic in peacetime. This title had since been erased from the record books by the COVID-19 pandemic. I remember that. Sorry, we can't fly because there's a volcano. We literally can't see back in 2010. Until March 2021, Reykjanes Peninsula, south of the capital of Reykjavik, had been spared from eruptions for 8 centuries. Wow, somebody was recording eruptions that long ago? Since then, there have been 2 more eruptions in August 2022 and July 2023, a sign, according to volcanologists, of renewed volcanic activity in the region. In October, signs of ground swelling were detected near the Blue Lagoon, the famous turquoise hot spring that are perennially popular with tourists. The site partially reopened on Sunday. In 2021, 2022, and last July, volcanic eruptions in uninhabited areas of the surrounding region became major tourist attractions, attracting almost 680,000 visitors according to Icelandic Tourist Board. Iceland's head of civil protection and emergency management, Vidir Reynisson, warned that this new eruption is not a tourist eruption and you have to observe it from very far away on local public television RUV. According to volcanologists, the new cycle in the peninsula could last for decades. 33 volcanic systems are considered active in this land of fire and ice. Ha ha ha! And the most volcanic region in Europe. During the night, images from local media, whose camera has been installed near the volcano for weeks, showed glowing orange lava gushing vigorously from a fissure. Our thoughts are with the local population. We hope for the best, but it is clear that this is a major eruption, wrote the head of Icelandic government, Katrin Jakobsdóttir, on Facebook. Let me open this image in a new tab so people who have video can see it. On November 11th, after the declaration of state of emergency, the residents of Grindavik, a picturesque village of 4,000 inhabitants, were evacuated as a precaution after hundreds of earthquakes caused by the displacement of magma beneath Earth's crust, a potential warning sign of volcanic eruption. No country is better prepared for natural disasters than Iceland, said Prime Minister to the press on November 18th. Other volcanoes such as Askja in the uninhabited highland of central Iceland have recently shown signs of activity. One of the country's most fierce volcanoes, Katla, near the south coast, it last erupted in 1918 with an unusually long pause, suggesting an imminent revival. So keep your eyes posted for Katla's return. Let me just quickly share the image of the... Oh god, that's a big image. Right, there we go. Here's the image here of the smoke from the fissure. Very big smoke, very hot. Just like imagine a huge firewall for 3 kilometers, wasn't it? Oh no, 4, sorry. 4.8 kilometers of just hot firewall and smoke. And that's what you see here. All right.
The hot time in Old Town tonight. Well, not there's a town there.
And that's,
let's build a town next to the volcano. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, your story.
I'm just looking at images. Okay, my story. We're going to talk about Clarence Thomas first because, well, he's there to make money. He is there to make money. This is from MSNBC, Steve Bannon. Usually, when the U.S. Supreme Court has difficult years, it's because of controversial rulings or the departure of prominent jurists. As 2023 comes to an end, it's fair to say that the High Court has struggled mightily this year for institutional reasons. To a degree, without modern precedent, the Supreme Court has confronted several tough-to-defend ethics controversies over the course of the year, most notably difficult questions surrounding Justice Clarence Thomas, many of which have been brought to the fore by reporting from ProPublica. The outlet advanced the story further with this new report. In early January 2000, but seeing extra numbers apparently. Starting over. In early January 2000, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was at a 5-star beach resort in Sea Island, Georgia, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. After almost a decade on the court, Thomas had grown frustrated with his financial situation, according to friends at the resorts. Thomas gave a speech at the off-the-record conservative conference. He found himself seated next to a Republican member of Congress on the flight home. The two men talked as the lawmaker left the conversation, worried that Thomas might resign. According to the report, which has not been independently verified by MSNBC or NBC News, Thomas told Republican Cliff Stearns of Florida that Congress should raise the justices' salary. If that didn't happen, the far-right jurists reportedly warned one or more justices would retire, perhaps within a year. The conversation, ProPublica added, set off a flurry of activity across the judiciary and Capitol Hill. It's also a conversation that probably should not have happened. Thomas's salary at the time was $173,600 in inflation-adjusted terms, more than $300,000. he nevertheless made no secret of his desire to make more money and privately pushed for an end to ban on justices giving paid speeches. Here's an idea. Resign and go make money as a lawyer. Nobody would have given a shit. You do it now. Do it now. Do it now, moron. Do it. You'll make money. Guarantee it. Whatever. Get out of my Supreme Court. Whatever you do, just go away. Never hear from him again. That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. You are not making enough money, Clarence. In the years that followed, as ProPublica has reported, Thomas accepted a stream of gifts from friends and acquaintances that appears to be unparalleled in the modern history of the Supreme Court. Some defrayed living expenses, large and small, private school tuition, vehicle batteries or tires. Other gifts from a coterie of ultra-rich men supplemented his lifestyle, such as a free international vacations and a private jet and super yacht of Dallas real estate billionaire Harlan Crow. In other words, well, I'm going to editorialize here. Clarence Thomas is a whore. He's just a whore. So to recap, a sitting Supreme Court justice was facing financial strains. He privately pushed a member of Congress for higher salary. His political allies were concerned about his possible retirement, and conservative billionaires started providing him with previously undisclosed benefits and more luxurious lifestyle. Over the course of 2023, congressional Republicans have scrambled to defend Thomas, presenting a series of underwhelming and substance-free justifications in response to serious ethical allegations. By the way, they're going after, just a sidebar again, they're going after Hunter Biden, who has never held a government office in his life, for getting a loan from his father and paying it back. That's what they're investigating him for. Seriously. Clarence Thomas, taking bribes, we don't want to investigate that. Over the course of 2023, congressional Republicans scrambled to defend him. All right. Steve Bennett, all right, that's the end of the story of Clarence Thomas and his debauchery of greed. Your story.
Oathman Chen says here, hello, I'm European. Your judicial system sounds very interesting and seems like there's a lot happening. Yeah, I would say there's definitely a lot happening because there's a corrupt judge who's just, getting bribed and saying it's not bribes.
Yeah, that's not even part of the system. It's just some guy just grifting because he happens to be a black conservative.
Yeah, I can pass laws for you if you just give me your house in Malibu.
Look, this black skin makes me impenetrable to all liberal attacks. It's never been true, but whatever. That's what they think. Anyway.
Okay, in some more good news, let's talk about two good news stories here from the Good News Network. Youth volunteers are forming a grandpals system so that older grandparents can hang out with grandkids. There's quotes around the word grandkids. In India, a group of considerate young people calling themselves the Good Fellows are changing the lives of India's senior citizens by pairing them with volunteer grandkids. Meant to combat loneliness and help them bring these elders back into society, the organization allows members of the elders' family to nominate them as a grand pal in search of a good fellow, typically in their spouse or closest family member isn't around anymore. The Good Fellows was started by Shantanu Naidu, Niku Thakur, and Gargi Sandhu, a trio of young Indians from Mumbai who are all shared a love of hanging out with their grandparents. Today, they have a team of 65 young men and women aged between 18 and 24, and 400 grandpals signed up. That's a lot of people who want to hang out with grandparents. Once nominated, Mr. Nandu, who leads recruitment, has a basic interview with them to gauge their cognitive faculties. But more importantly, their interest in order to pair them with a good fellow who is interested in the same things. The Better India spoke with two good fellows, aged 23 and 24, who volunteered to pair with grandpals for the program. And they explained that there's no telling what might happen during any given day. One of them noticed his grandpal needed a pair of sandals, and so he took him shoe shopping for 3 hours to find the perfect pair. Kersey uncle has been my grandpal for the last 5 months, 23-year-old Arohi Sawant told the Better India. We genuinely look forward to hanging out, and he's had his fair share of tough moments, but he swears on focusing on the beautiful bits. He has inspired me to hold on to the moments that make life happy. One grandpal called herself the luckiest lady in the world because her good fellow is a tech-savvy listener with a good memory. Skills that led her to begin writing the 81-year-old woman's memoirs. In some cases, the pairing lasts as long as the grandpal's remaining years. In these situations, the good fellows are encouraged to take time off to grieve and take care of their mental health if needed. Yeah, they may not be a real grandparent, but you did hang out with them for maybe a half a year and then they're just gone. We've come across so many grandpals who tell us they feel alone. Aside from the few utility people, the doorbell never rings. But our model is now changing things. They are hopeful and excited on the designated days of the week. They look forward to the bell ringing, Miss Thakur told the Better India. So, I never got to really experience this because I had a terrible relationship with my grandparents, and my other grandparents, well, I was barely alive for one of their deaths, and the other one, I think, my grandfather already was dead before I was even born. So I've never really hung out with grandparents, so this is really interesting that, there's a system out there, at least in India, where people who might be a little lonely, who are lonely even, are getting the support they need, because even if you're 80 years old, you don't deserve to be alone. In more good news, Norway is rewilding a coal mine, and now polar bears are hunting on it. Hopefully not humans. Polar bears are the only animal that hunt humans, by the way. It's a fun fact. Maybe not fun. Grim fact. On the Arctic island of Svalbard, the Norwegian government has just completed the largest rewild project in its history. Polar bears, reindeer, Arctic fox, and many seabirds are now moving back into the Sverguva mining town, where the depths of the island were plumbed for coal for 100 years. Sverguva was an industrial community nestled in a remote fjord, which before its closure had its own power station, wharf, water supply, and everything else that was necessary to house up to 300 workers and run mining operations on a large scale. The Storting, or Norwegian Parliament, decided in 2017 to wind down operations and clear the area to return it to its natural state. All traces of human activity since mining began in 1910 were to be removed, with the exception of cultural monuments and buildings from before 1946. It's now empty and pristine. That's no passing polar bear could ever have imagined humans had ever been there, apart from 3 red houses spared by their monument designation. This is Norway's largest nature restoration ever, and an expression of a long-term and consistent Norwegian policy to preserve wilderness nature on Svalbard, said Climate and Environment Minister Esbjørn Barth Eide. There is a less and less untouched nature in the world, and the restoration of nature and ecosystems is therefore one of the most important goals in the new Global Nature Agreement. The cleanup of Sverguva is an important contribution to this. Before the rewilding began, 12 people from NICU, Norwegian Institute for Cultural Heritage Research, spent 6 weeks scanning and photographing the entire town of Sverguva. Around 170,000 images and 6,000 scans, in total more than 18 terabytes of raw data. That's a lot of data. 18 terabytes have become a huge digital 3D remodel of the experience of the nearby outpost. In many ways, the cleanup of Sve and Lukefjelg has been a project that has involved the entire population of Svalbard, said Lars Faust, the head of the civil affairs in Svalbard. I'm impressed by how the various companies and units have worked together. This has been one of the success factors for the project being carried out so efficiently and cost effectively. While 2.5 billion Norwegian krone and around 230 million was budgeted, or around $230 million was budgeted for the project, the project came in at merely $83 million. Wow, they really saved. Yeah, no joke, efficiently and cost effectively. 7 national parks and 23 nature reserves cover the island of Svalbard, making it by percentile one of the most well-conserved island ecosystems in the Arctic at around 66%. So, good job, Norway. You're a great example for the future when we also want to. I mean, let's just think about America, how many ghost towns there are. All those ghost towns could just be parks or, nature reserves or whatever. They don't just have to be swinging in the dust, with those dust storms. They could return back to nature. Buffalo could be grazing on the grass or something. Anyways, that's my 2 good news stories from the Good News Network. Your story.
Okay, you're right. Letting old parks regenerate and letting old people have something to do besides go, boy, I miss my kids. But their kids are like 70 now, so yeah. They want to spend time with kids, like be refreshed. To me, old people should only watch new TV. They should not watch stuff from the old days because they're going to revert back to those old days and think they live in those old days. Anyway, on to the good news for today. We're going to cover Snoopy for a second because I just covered this story. In Snoopy's world, this is from NPR. Gen Z is suddenly obsessed with Snoopy, and it's not just because he's cute. It's Snoopy's world, and Gen Z is living in it, apparently. The anthropomorphic imaginative beagle has made his Peanuts comic strip debut in October 1950. More than half a century later, he's winning over yet another generation of fans. When TikTok views his sold-out store shelves prove it. For example, Puffer Jacket Snoopy, a plushie wearing a striped hat and blue coat, just like the one in hand-drawn Snoopy starting back in 1984. The toys become so elusive that teens and 20-somethings are going viral for filming themselves scouring CVS stores simply trying to track one down. It retailed for around $15, but is being resold on sites like eBay for as much as $100. Well, what's that price go up? So yeah, Snoopy's having a rejuvenated, what's the word? Revitalization of popularity. In other good news, why the Fed's dire predictions for 2023 didn't come true. This is from Reuters. The Federal Reserve started 2023 on a grim note, with staffers calling a recession plausible and policymakers penciling a growth near stall speed and rising unemployment as the cause for quashing inflation with rapid-fire interest rate increases. But it ends with the Fed registering faster than expected progress on inflation that occurred with virtually no rise in jobless rate and an economy that grew fully 5 times faster than the 0.5% policymakers anticipated a year ago. Rate cuts are now in the offing. We were very fortunate over the course of this year. Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic told Reuters last week, what just happened? Over the year, a series of things just turned the Fed's way. Sometimes unexpectedly, not necessarily due to monetary policy, obviously. Just as 2022 was a year of bad forecasts and bad breaks, including a war in Europe, the 2023 economy began looking more normal after pandemic-era excesses. It redeemed, to some degree, early Fed thinking that high inflation would ease over time without the central bank squelching growth altogether. Thank you. Somebody at the bank was actually paying attention to what was driving inflation. It was not, everybody's got much money out there. That wasn't it. It wasn't everybody's got too much money. It was, hey, look, the corporations are ripping us all off. That was it. Anyway, there's your good economic news. And now, more news on a personal level, as this is from a few days ago, so we'll get to it first. A missing boy who's been missing in Britain for, 6 years. And this is also from Reuters, and it's from the reporter's name is, let's see, we got their name at the top somewhere. It says Reuters. A teenager from Britain who resurfaced in southern France after disappearing 6 years ago is expected to return to England over the weekend, French authorities said on Friday, after the boy left a spiritualist community in the Pyrenees Mountains. Alex Batty disappeared at the age of 11 during a holiday with his mother and grandfather in Malaga, Spain in 2017. Toulouse Deputy Prosecutor Antoine Leroy said the youth had spent the past 2 years in different areas of southern France, living in spiritual communities with his mother, but not in the sect. He said he was never locked up, Leroy told the news conference, adding that the teenager said he was deciding to leave his mother when he heard she was planning to move to Finland. The grandfather died about 6 months ago, said Leroy, adding the boy's mother might currently be in Finland. UK authorities are buying a ticket and will arrange a travel from Bordeaux. He will leave tomorrow or at the very latest the day after. Earlier, Greater Manchester police said they were working with French authorities to bring Batty home to his grandmother, who is his legal guardian. But he's 17, so yeah. How long is he going to be anybody in his legal guardian? GMP Assistant Chief Constable Chris Sykes says Betty has spoken to his grandmother via video call on Thursday morning. An undated blah, 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 that's a picture. We still have some work to do in establishing the full circumstances surrounding his disappearance. It's where he has been all these years, Sykes added. At the moment, the priority is speaking to Alex. Obviously, his mother is part of that conversation and investigation. Yeah, Mom went to Finland. What the hell's the deal there? Anyway, there's the story. A lot of details left to be filled in, but there's another story about a child being found. This time it's a 4-month-old baby. This is from the Good News Network. Andy Corbley. GoodNewsNetwork.com. Or is it .net? I'm not sure. .org. 4-month-old baby sucked up into tornado is found asleep and unharmed in a cradle of fallen tree limbs. Sydney Moore watched as the bassinet containing her infant son, Lord, named her son Lord. Okay. Aren't we a little presumptuous, huh? Followed the roof of her mobile home up into the funnel of a tornado, ensuring she thought that she would never see him again. Without time to shed a tear, she threw herself atop her 1-year-old boy, just as the walls collapsed on them both. Outside, her car was obliterated. The area around her Clarksville, Tennessee mobile home was completely destroyed. Surviving the collapse of the home, she searched through desperately for the 4-month-old with her boyfriend, who had been thrown by the force of the funnel, which broke his arm and shoulder. Well, he got lucky too. I thought he was dead, Moore told WSMV in a sober voice. I thought he was dead. I'd never see him again. Then a miracle. It was like a little tree cradle, Moore remembered. Her baby was but for a cut, unscathed, lying asleep in the crook of a fallen tree. Moore's sister remembered that it looked for all the world as if the Lord had been placed there. The little Lord had been placed there, as if an angel had guided him through the storm. Caitlin, Sydney's sister, organized a GoFundMe to help the family recover from the destruction of their home, means of transport, and loss of all their furniture and most of their possessions. Generous souls and aplenty have seen the fundraiser reach $68,000 out of the $100,000 the family is hoping for. So good news! Just because your baby can fly, doesn't mean he's gonna die. But,
okay.
Your flying baby landed in a tree.
Where are you going with this one? Okay. That was a lot of good news. Boy, time to talk about something that I suppose is good news, but maybe also isn't very important. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but somebody called the press and reported on it, so somebody out there needs to hear this. If you have short hair and are French, you're still beautiful. That's right.
Oh.
The first short hair winner of Miss France. This is from Anka Ulea. The French beauty pageant has been actively working on increasing diversity in recent years. Online critics slammed the results as pandering to woke culture. That's right. If you have short hair, you're woke. You're freaking SJW, freaking short hair. Women have long hair, damn you. For the first time in 100 years, that was sarcasm. For the first time in 100-year history of France's top beauty pageant, Miss France has short hair. 20-year-old Eve Gills, who won the competition over the weekend sporting a pixie cut, oh god, freaking get the preacher, hailed the achievement as a victory for diversity. She's still white, by the way. Just want to be clear. A victory of diversity would be a short-haired black woman, in my opinion, but we gotta get what small crumbles we can get for diversity. You know it's bad when short hair is your diversity checkmark on your little paper. No one can tell you who you should be, she's told the audience. Gills promised to defend the values of strong women. Women are so strong when they cut their hair because, as you know, whenever women cut their hair, it actually physically hurts us. We have nerve endings in every single hair follicle. After her victory on Saturday, she added, "We're used to seeing beautiful misses with long hair, but I chose an androgynous look with short hair. Every woman is different. We're all unique." This is true. Gilles, who is studying mathematics and statistics at university, represents the northern Nord-Pas-de-Calais region of France, the 4th contestant from the region to take home the crown in 10 years. The aftermath to her victory was hostile. On social media, critics viciously attacked her thin frame and made videos comparing her to other competitors with more beautiful, long hair, implied she only won to appease woke culture. I'm trying to take this seriously, but I really can't. If you're going on social media and yelling, "This woman has short hair, burn it with fire," please go see a therapist. You have some issues and you need to talk to a therapist about this because it's not that serious. Paris-based financial researcher Philippe Herlin wrote on Twitter, "Miss France 2024 doesn't look like much, but she says the right things. Want to bet the next year Miss France will be trans? Oh no! I totally forgot. If you have short hair, you're basically a man." So, next they're gonna... What these people consider as a man dressed as a woman, right? Trans women, to them, are just men dressed as women. "People criticizing me over my hair doesn't bother me because I can change my hair," Gilles told the French daily Le Parisien in an interview after her victory. "I chose this hair, but I didn't choose my body or my metabolism. I don't understand how someone can criticize a person over something they cannot change." Gilles has said that she wants to use her platform to encourage children, especially young girls, to pursue maths and science. She hopes her own passions for the subject can help make it seem less intimidating. "For me, there's an issue with many way maths are taught." You can tell this was written by a British person because they say maths. She told French broadcaster TF1, "Young girls and boys are told that maths is complicated. Maths is hard. You need to hang in there. No! You should tell them, listen, this is a challenge. You're gonna have fun. There's a problem and you need to find the solution." That would change the entire dynamic. I love her compassion for math. I loved math when I was growing up, but then I found out I was too dumb, so I stopped. I failed pre-calc and I was like, maybe this is not for me. I can't even pass the class for the thing before the real thing, right? Pre-calc. It's not even actual calculus. This year was the second edition of Miss France pageant.
It is the same. Yeah, it's the same.
This year was the second edition of the Miss France pageant since the rules were changed to allow for greater diversity of contestants. The age limit, previously capped at 24, was removed. Yeah, you can be beautiful even at 40. What the hell? Candidates are now also allowed to be married. Wait, I'm sorry. If you're not single, you're not beautiful. If you have children, you're ugly. And you're allowed to also have visible tattoos, which I think have always been an improvement for some people. The competition was previously open to trans contestants in 2019. Practice, however, the contestants of Miss France 2024 were still fairly homogenous, as in white.
Tattoos.
No, there's some brown people in there, like 4 to 5 brown people with different hairstyles. There were no mothers on stage, and the median age remained more or less the same, and there were no tattoos to be seen. All the contestants still had to be at least 1.70 meters to compete. A question of camera framing, according to organizers. Just have them stand on a box. And although no weight limit exists for the competition, there wasn't a single plus-size contestant. Yeah. Gilles' short hair was the only physical attribute that could be considered remotely avant-garde. But the young beauty queen said she doesn't want to be known exclusively as the Miss with the short hair. Well, unfortunately, that's what you're going to be known as because of this article. "I want to be a strong woman. I want to make people realize that no matter where you start, no matter what path you take, you can achieve your goals," Gilles said. "I want to show people that women are diverse, that we're all beautiful and we're all different and unique. I'm not unique because of my hair. I'm unique because I'm Eve. And she likes math. So be more like Eve, go take a math class, and rise up to the challenge of failing pre-calc like I didn't. And I guess cut your hair and show them that, hey, I'm still a woman, even though I have short hair. Don't know why that's a discussion in 2023, but that's the discussion they're having in France. That's my story.
That's just people projecting their own insecurities on other people.
Yeah.
I'm a loser, so I have to attack other people's personal appearance.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you got going for yourself? Oh, nothing. Got it. Okay.
Cool.
Oh, it's just projection. Again, we respond to this for some reason. I have no idea why, but I guess, oh, you're woke. I'm like, yeah, so fucking what? Who gives a shit?
Next, I'm not asleep.
whatever. At least I'm not a fucking idiot. How about that? Right? Deal with it. Deal with people having intelligence and be able to form opinions. That's what really woke means. It means you're able to discern information without being told how to think. Wow, imagine that. What a concept. Okay. All right. Being woke, being intelligent, and being awake, and being discernible, and being able to distinguish information are all synonymous. They all mean the same thing. This day in history. 1777, during the American Revolution, General George Washington led 11,000 regulars to take up winter quarters at Valley Forge on the west bank of the Schuylkill River, 22 miles north of Philadelphia. In case you were thinking of visiting Valley Forge, I would go in the summer. 1843, English author Charles Dickens published A Christmas Carol on this day, which we all know everybody's a Scrooge is, because we've been calling people Scrooge since then, probably. 1910, Jean Genet, a French criminal and social outcast turned writer who as a dramatist became the leading figure in avant-garde theater, especially the theater of the absurd, was born. It's a long way to go just to tell you he was born. In 1910, on this day. 1915, French singer and actress Edith Piaf, whose interpretation of chanson made her internationally famous, was born. 1946, the Viet Minh, founded by the Vietnamese nationalist Ho Chi Minh, began the first Indochina War against France in 1946. Oh yeah. Vietnam War started in earnest. 1966, the United States General Assembly endorsed the Outer Space Treaty, an international treaty binding the parties to use outer space only for peaceful purposes. Okay, don't be starting wars out there and, at the Captain Kirk and the Federation. 1971, the sci-fi drama Clockwork Orange, Stanley Kubrick's adaptation of a novel by Anthony Burgess, had its world premiere. Although widely acclaimed, the movie's violent and sexually explicit scenes proved controversial and received an X rating when released in the United States. 1974, Nelson Aldrich Rockefeller was sworn in as the first Vice President of the United States, succeeding Joe Ford, who had been elevated to the presidency, following the resignation of Richard Nixon. 1997, James Cameron's Titanic, a drama about the doomed ocean liner starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, premiered. It later became one of the highest grossing films of all time. I didn't think it was that gross. 2012, Park Geun-hye, Hye, I think that Hye, became the first female to be elected president of South Korea. She was sworn in office the following year. However, she also became the first country's first democratically elected president to be removed from office when she was impeached in 2017.
What a mess because of the ferry disaster. Basically, she handled the tens of kids got killed in a ferry disaster, and she just
wasn't she also a
handled it so awfully that there's no way she would have stayed in power, even if it wasn't her fault.
Speaking of impeachments, well, it wasn't her fault, but she handled it poorly.
Yeah.
1998, this day, Bill Clinton article of impeachments were also approved. And born on this day, December 19th, 1906, was Leonid Brezhnev. That's our featured biography, former leader of the Soviet Union, who died in 1982, November 10th at 75 in Moscow. Other birthdays today. Besides, Cicely Tyson turns 99 today, American actress. Reggie White, American football player, would be 62 today. He was born in 1961, if he was still alive. And Jake Gyllenhaal, American actor, was born on this day in 1980. And what else is happening on today? It's only 2 days today. It's National Oatmeal Muffin Day. It's rather Pacific. National Oatmeal Muffin Day, and National Hard Candy Day. Those are the days for December 19th, 2023, here on Before Coffee. Back to you.
All right, and this has been Allison here from the Netherlands, who we will be covering the wacky and weird news tomorrow for Wednesday. And we'll see you then. So get your freaking, I don't know, your kazoo so you can be wacky with us. I don't have a kazoo, but that's just a wacky thing. And we'll see you tomorrow. Here is your mic drop moment.
The dog's name is Snoopy. That's a pretty good name. We'll keep it. While you were talking to the man, I was looking through their records. Someone else bought this dog, but then returned him. You got a used dog, Charlie Brown. Well, you're my dog now, Snoopy. I'll show you to your new home.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.